guys, welcome to Bar Z. My name's Stan, and welcome to another episode of The Grind. This is The Grind number 45. Now, we've got quite a bit of stuff to cover. I haven't done anything in a long time, and I was starting to feel a little guilty. I'm fully recovered from the bash, got my shop put back together, got my place put back together. Everything that's needed to be gone is gone. Everything that needed to get packed away got packed away. And everything I needed to get set back up got set back up. So we're fully recovered and back to normal. So I just thought I'd do a quick episode of The Grind, cover a few things that have been going on. Welcome, and let's get to it. First of all, a viewer dropped off an air bearing at the bash, and here I am playing with it and trying to get it operational. Okay, so that air bearing's running pretty good. That's without being charged with compressed air. Every time I do charge it, I'm still getting junk through it, and it locks up the movement every time I charge the actual air bearing. So I'm in the process of cleaning it out. I'm running denatured alcohol through it, followed up by WD-40, back to denatured, just keep flushing it out, and the junk just keeps coming out of that thing. So eventually it's got to clear out. Sooner or later it's got to clean out. I got a couple hours into it now, and I think I'll be able to get it functioning on the air and get it floating the way it's supposed to. So that's that. Next up is squares. I got a bunch of material that I bought, as seen here. And hiding inside of all those bars of O1 is the next batch of squares. So those are in production right now, and I've got orders all the way back to June. You know who you are. It's coming. I'm doing a big run, and it takes a long time to get through all the steps on that many squares. But we've got all your orders. I know who you are, and we're getting your stuff to you. All right, and thank you everyone for being so patient. I would like to note, as long as we're here, the big sign behind me is done on plywood, hand painted by Miss Emma Ritson. She brought that with her to the bash. She brought it on the plane with her. She probably told everyone it was a skim board, and you know, she made that for me, and I sure do appreciate it. And what a great placard that is. I glued some magnets on the back so I can stick it around in the shop anywhere I want. So shout out to Emma Ritson for that, for her hand painting skills. Next up, we have been doing some milling for squares, quite a bit of milling actually. I've gone through an impressive amount of carbide, but let's look at how I keep the chips from flying around the shop. Okay, well, if it's stupid and it works, then maybe it's not so stupid. But that is my ad hoc chip guard that I put on the mill. I can't see through it, but I know what's going on behind there, and I don't want to stick my face back there anyways. So that is my chip guard. I'm sure a piece of Lexan would be better, but that works just fine. All right, let's go talk about, I shot a little clip of some different types of VFDs and the physical characteristics of them and the location of them and what we're doing with them. Let's go around the bench. Hey guys, welcome to Bar Z. My name's Stan, and today we're going to talk about a couple of drives, you know, the VFD drives, and these are something I bought and I didn't know whether, yeah, you guys knew whether they were available. And I'll tell you what we have to do a lot of times. A lot of times we want a standalone drive, which means we don't want to put it inside of a control cabinet and then have to put a cooling fan on it and then control it remotely because our keypad is no longer accessible. A lot of times we just want to stick a drive on the side of a piece of equipment, or in this case it's like a clean room, and we're controlling the fan speeds, the blower speeds on this clean room to maintain a specific pressure within the clean room. And what happens when we get a different class of drive? You know, these are this size drive is all the way up to like 5 horse, and then when you get past 5 and get to 7.5 to 10 horsepower range, and you get into this larger class of drive, these have more cooling. They got bigger. You know, they got bigger cooling fins and more cooling fans. So they take a physical step up, you know, when you switch from 1 horsepower to another. But when we mount these on the wall, we have to have a disconnection means. We have to have a way to work on the blowers safely and remove all power from the VFD, because everything's hardwired. It's not like we're plugging in a machine with a cord or something. So we end up with more expense and this big monstrosity here. You know, this is a big disconnect, you know, fused, and it's just a big monster. It's lockable. You know, we can get a 6-pack in there with some lockout plugs and stuff on it. So we end up with, you know, this disconnect next to one of the 2 size drives that we're going to select for the job. And if you've got multiple drives doing multiple fans, it gets pretty convoluted. So we were looking at a way to eliminate having to do, you know, the remote disconnect and something packaged. So let's go take a look. I got 2 of them in this box. Let me get this opened up, and I'll show you what the alternative is. Okay, well, we've got our one of the 2 out of the big box, and this is a horsepower rated drive, 480 volt, 5 horse. And you can tell by the box, it's, you know, she's a big one. But we're going to show you what they've integrated into the VFDs, and I'm sure other brands are still doing this too. But I wanted to show you what Lenz has done for us here. Their packaging is always so awesome. And here's the book that comes with it, and literally it is the same book that comes with all the other ones. And so the programming, the hierarchy, all the parameter menus, everything's gonna be the same. And so I can figure out a good way to get this out. Just gotta get my hands on it there. There we go. All right, so larger physical size. Nice big heat sink in the back. And we've got an integral disconnect right here. And in the off position, we are lockable. Right there, we can lock that out. So we've got a lockout built right into a VFD. We no longer need a separate disconnection means. The disconnection means is built right into the unit. So pretty cool. Same keypad as all the others. I'll show you that keypad. So same keypad as all the other drives. Same programming menu. You can control it remotely or from the keypad. It's got the same nice box at the bottom. We've got conduit entries right here on the bottom of the box. We make all our connections enclosed within the enclosure. So what a beautiful drive, and makes for a nice clean installation. Just bolt it to the wall and go. You know, and I don't have a bunch of other components hanging around. So I thought I'd show you that these aren't really mainstream, and these are actually special order, but I wanted to let you know that they do exist. And I was able to actually use my own discount code over at Marshall Wolf. They gave us a discount code, so I was able to buy these and get a break on them. Actually, I'll flash the discount code on the screen there. It's good until September 1st of 2017. But pretty cool. Just thought I'd share that new drive technology with you. Thanks for watching. Okay, well that's a good example of standalone VFDs where you don't necessarily need or want to put a cabinet in with a cooling fan and remote controls for it and everything. You just want a VFD there, and you want to work it right off the touchpad. And how to mount them, you know, out in the open and still be able to operate them and try to, you know, tidy up your installation. So those new ones with the integral disconnector are really nice. Next up is I got a package from American Rotary, and I was talking to Chris Feeble over at American Rotary, and this was about remote controlling my rotary phase converter. Now this thing, I've got it up in the attic now, and I put in a remote switch, and that's cool. You know, I have to walk up to the same location and, you know, flip a switch every time. Not a big deal, but he brought something with him to the bash, and I've got it right here. And this is a wireless remote, but you didn't even know they had those. And we've got instructions here. This instruction card is for a 3 to 5, which I think mine's a 5. And then they've got another instruction card for 7.5 all the way up to 30. So they've got instruction cards for both. And let's take a look at what's in the box. What they got here. It looks to be 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 5-wire connection. No brainer, you know, not a big deal. But they've got a black box, a magic black box that goes inside. There's an antenna that has to go in, and there's your wiring connections. 4. I was wrong. So 4-wire connection, an antenna, and this is obviously the receiver. Then what you've got, this gives you a wireless remote. Okay, so start, and it's obviously already got a battery in it because I'm seeing that little light flickering, and stop. You can see the light blinking when it's transmitting. So you could literally glue a magnet to the back of this and just stick it on whatever machine or move it from machine to machine and start and stop your phase converter wirelessly. You know, how cool is that? And later on, maybe we'll get a video up of me putting that thing in. But that's pretty neat, and probably gonna end up with some more 3-phase stuff around here anyways that I don't want to modify, and I don't want to put you know, VFDs on and go to the trouble, because you know, if you've got a machine that's plug and play and already 3-phase and ready to go, there's no need in tearing it up and putting a VFD in it unless you have a very strong control background. So that is my wireless remote unit from American Rotary, and if you didn't know they had them, now you do. Go check them out on the web, AmericanRotary.com. Next up, hemostats. We went to Yuma and did a job, and it was a medical company that moved out, and I bought a scrap bin full of stainless. Let's take a look at it. So yeah, hemostats, we got them. So what do you do with all those hemostats? I've been selling them to a few of my friends over on Facebook, and you know, just cheap as chips just to get rid of them. You know, I paid just scrap for that bin full of stainless, and I've gotten rid of an impressive amount of hemostats. But let's go see what we can do with them. Let's go modify a pair for me, for wiring. So let's go see what we can do with a pair of hemostats. Okay, here's an example of what you can do with the medical surplus hemostats. I'm going to show you right on the end. I don't know if you can even see that. There's a little hole right there. What I've done is I've cut a groove right in those jaws that it's parallel with the body. That groove is parallel with the body of this, and I just did it with a round file. I took these down to the first click, and I put them in some soft jaws in the vise. Just kind of hang them out where you can get in there and still work on them. And then I just took a Swiss file. For those of you that don't know, your Noga holders are going to hang onto your round shank Swiss files and give you a nice handle. So your Noga deburring tools also work on your Swiss files. And I'm just going to go into that hole. I'm still kind of opening it up a little bit. And then when I'm all done, I'm going to show you what I'm doing with them. And these hemostats aren't so hard that they can't be shaped and filed and sanded and things like that. You can always work with them. Okay. So I've been working this from 2 different sides. And see, there's the file in the hemostats parallel with the body. And what I'm going to do with it, when I'm all done, these are going in my electrical bag. There's your groove in the jaws. Right there, right on the very tip. What I'm doing with these is these are going in my electrical bag, so when you've got a small gauge wire, I think this is a 14 or 16 gauge, quite common with control circuits, you can just lay your wire right in that groove. You go to the first click, and you've got your hands clear where this thing can go in and land that in a wiring terminal. So that's the setup there. So the only limits your imagination when it comes to hemostats. So that's my take on a hemostats for an electrician. And as you can see, it didn't damage the insulation at all. Didn't even put a mark on it. So that's what we're doing with that pair. That pair is going into my electrical bag. Okay, so that's something you can do with them. You can get them set so a wire slips in there, and you can get them in a terminal very easily. And it leaves your other hand free to tighten your terminal up. A lot of times these small components, you just can't get your hands in there to do that work, to get those wires in the terminal strip or in a component. You know, some of these things get pretty small. So hemostats are wonderful for that. They're good for a lot of other things, soldering, model making, little fussy work. So pretty handy to have around. Next up, I get a lot of emails and a lot of questions on the channel. They see my field bag. People see my my little bag that I carry around. Let's go dig into the bag and see what my daily driver is, and let's go check out what I carry in my bag. Hey guys, welcome to Bar Z. My name's Stan, and today we're gonna I gotta clean out my work bag. As you can see, it's pretty loaded and getting pretty heavy. So we're gonna go through it. I'm gonna show you the things that I carry with me on a daily basis. Then I'm also gonna talk about you know, the things that you carry just for special tasks. So we're gonna clean out Stan's bag today because there's probably a lot of excess baggage in there, and we're gonna just kind of go through it and talk about it. Let's talk about the bag itself. This is an Ideal Tough Tote from the Ideal company. It's got a shoulder strap with a pad on the shoulder. You can throw this over your shoulder and climb up a ladder or up a staircase, or have your hands free to carry other things. It's got a lifetime warranty. I bought this bag. When I bought it, they said this is the last bag you'll ever buy. And there's some truth in that, because when I did have to warranty it, one of these leather eyelets tore out and the shoulder strap was worthless. And I sent it back to Ideal, and they sent me a new one. It's not the last one I'd ever own, but it is the last one I'd ever buy. And they sent it to me free of charge, brand new bag. It's got a nice heavy bottom. It's got like a plastic bottom sewn on. It's got ribbing on the sides, riveted so the bag doesn't flop over. It's got its own little backbone. And even these sides have got a wire stitched in right here to keep the sides from flopping over. So it's a pretty good bag, and I'm pretty happy with it. And like I say, I've owned it since the mid-90s, and I think I warrantied it back in maybe 05 or 06. But if I ever need it again, I'll send this one in. All right, let's get into this thing and see what we carry. I am a Fluke fan. So this is the little T5 600. It's the answer to the Wiggy. It's a nice little multi-test indicator. It'll do volts, AC and DC, auto select. It'll do amps, I think all the way up to probably 100 amp. And it'll also do continuity, just with a rotary switch there. And the thing I like about these is it's got a holder right here. So you've got you got one lead there that you test with here, and leaves your other hand free to go in and poke around and do your work. In addition to that, you can change the, it's got the banana style connectors, so you can change those out to various things, and I'll show you what else I've got some other accessories in here. So little Fluke T5 600, great little instrument. It's kind of your go-to. That's the first thing you grab when you're going to do some testing. Flashlight, sticky base, pretty good magnet on it. Sent in by a viewer. It's a big Larry, but mag base. And here, let me blind you. Boom, that's pretty darn bright. It's got 3 speeds. It's got a help me, I fell in a hole, come get me flasher. So that's good for sticking up inside of panels and lighting up, you know, things you need to see. This is marketed by Makita, and these are all Japanese made. They're all stamped Makita right on them, and they say Japan right on them. And they've got a spindle right here that'll drop into an impact. And the thing about these is if you line up this hole on the socket with that pin or that ball on the spindle, it gives you a wobbler. But if you offset it, it gives you a solid socket. So marketed by Makita, good little set. I have brutalized these and have never broken one. So that's a fun little set, and it's a nice little compact flexi holder that I keep in my bag. Let's keep going with the impact tools. There's a little Greenlee kit, and I embellish on this. This thing is going to be full of stuff. There's all kinds of junk in here. There's an extra spindle for the Makita. There's a little quick change bit by Greenlee that's actually kind of handy. I keep 1/4-inch bits. Robertson drive. It's the square drive. Electricians use that very frequently. Some Phillips bits. Number 3 Phillips. Sometimes you run into fixtures that take a number 3. And get some of this junk out of here. 1/4-inch pilot bits for hole saws and things like that. And I always keep spares. And there's a drill and tap set all the way up to 1/4-20, and this starts at 632, goes all the way up to 1/4-20. It drills, taps, and countersinks all in the same operation. Greenlee's been making these for years, and I use them very frequently with panel work. And what I'll do inside of a panel, you don't want any metal chips getting around. I keep a ring magnet. Down at the bottom of my bag, there's a little ring magnet, and you just drop your ring right around where you're going to drill. Drop your ring magnet on your sub base, drill your hole, all the metal chips stick to the magnet, pull the magnet out, you're done. You didn't get any metal chips in any sensitive equipment. So that's my field kit. All right, and those are accessories to, you know, impacts and drills. In addition to this, I carry a Milwaukee bag with a drill, a spare battery, and an impact, and probably a charger. Very small Milwaukee bag that I keep with me. And when we get into the fussy electrical measurements, if I have to measure 4 to 20 milliamps or something like that, I use a Fluke, and this is a Fluke 87, and this is a Generation 5, and that's one of my daily drivers there. The main reason I carry this is we have a lot of signaling that uses milliamps. So this is not a milliamp generator. It is it measures milliamps, but it will not generate milliamps. I have another meter for that. And this will do temperature as well. This has Fahrenheit and centigrade with temperature probes. And again, with the probes, again, removable. You know, so these fit on the other meter as well. So if you're using Fluke leads, they're all compatible with each other. So these are the real pointy, sticky ones here. And I always like these cases, mainly because you can flip the meter around to protect the face of it. It's kind of a rubber case. It's got a nice little stand in the back. It's also got a backbone in it, like a wire. You can hook it over a panel and have it hang in there for you. I've tried the magnetic ones, but I like the one with the wire in it. and it's got a place to store your probes. So that's my big fluke. It doesn't come out very often, only when we're doing startups and things like that. But that's my my daily driver. Let's keep going on the middle here. Tie wraps. Everyone carries those. In addition to that, I have a tie wrap gun. This is made by Panduit. This is the GTH, and there's a standard and a heavy setting on the tie wrap gun. And I'll show you how it works real quick. We'll throw a tie wrap on a screwdriver here. So you've got you've done all your bundling and you've got your tie wrap set, and I've just got this set to standard, so it's going to be a very low tension set, but it's going to tighten the tie wrap, and then when you pull, it's going to cut it off flush. And there's your flush cut there. It's pretty darn good. It's not sticking up at all where you can you can cut yourself on these when reaching around in panels and stuff. You can always cut yourself on those. But the Panduit gun, pure speed. It's got a nice little hook on the bottom to stow it. I keep it on a little snap clip, and that stows too. So pretty cool. So Panduit gun as a companion for tie wraps. Let's get this tie wrap off of my screwdriver. All right, out of here. Screwdrivers, I like Klein tools. So I do have some various lengths. I like the long shank drivers for doing panel work. So when you're in, they call it a cabinet driver. So if you're in an electrical cabinet, this enables you to get in deep and work on them. I am completely ignoring my phone. Once again, Klein Journeyman Series diagonal cutters. Comfortable, nice heavy grips. Let's see what this is. I think that's a Klein, also known as Thomas and Betts. They kind of coined that. 2 crimps and a cut. These are also known as stake-ons. So that's for doing your solderless connectors. Crescent wrench, little Craftsman 8-inch, old, very old. It's an old made in USA. The reason I like it is it's thin. It's got a thin head. It can get in and work on some things in an electrical cabinet, and I prefer the thin-headed crescent wrenches. It's small enough, it fits in the bag nicely. There's a pair of Kleins, very old, curved handle. These are wire strippers, 10 to 18 gauge. They strip, they cut, they got pliers on the end, and you can also cut some screws if you've got some little, they got 632, 832. Those are about the only two you ever use. Okay, but that's my stripper of choice. A little Stanley, what is that, a 99? Razor knife. Always carry those. Good for stripping big wire. Here's a little, we call that a no dog. And this is just for bending conduit. It's got horizontal, vertical, and it doesn't have 45 degrees. You know, guess what angle that is? 30 degrees. Why do we use 30 degrees? Because the math is easy. This will pinch down on a piece of conduit. You'll notice the end is curved, so you can go right on the end of a piece of conduit and tighten down on it, and then you bend your offset up until you're level, and you'll be able to catch it here on level, or you can bend it up 90 and catch that top one. But that's called a no dog, so you don't dog your offsets. But that's a conduit bending tool. What else we got in here? Oh, a little Milwaukee thing full of Phillips tips. Okay. Kind of didn't even know that was there. But there's a nice little case for carrying doodads. Sharpie. Solderless connectors. We use the Stake-On brand. These are actually the nice one with the dual sleeve. There's an inner sleeve and an outer sleeve, and they've got the nicer jacket on them, kind of a nylon jacket. So these are the nicer crimp-ons, and I just keep them in my bag. These are good for doing grounds. There's another one full of miscellaneous. They're handy little holders. Oh, let's see what else we got down the main bag. More little holders, miscellaneous stuff, ground screws, spider webs, metal shavings, stuff like that. Anti-theft kit. Sometimes you get into doing some systems that have some special screws. You don't need them very often, but when you need them, you need them. And these are all the specialty Torx, and the you know, like the hexagonal with the holes in them, and the funny looking three-sided Phillips or whatever they call them, you know, but that's a theft-proof kit. So sometimes if you're doing alarms or something like that, you need it. When you need these, you need them. And that just stays in my bag all the time. All right, that center tray is empty. Let's go to this. This is an interesting little guy. This is made by Milwaukee. It's a 90-degree head, and I'll show you what your hex spindles with the cutout. They're going to drop in there, and then they're going to actually index in so they don't come out. So they've got the ball detent in there, and they've got the same thing over here, so you can put it in an impact. This is impact rated, so if you need to get in somewhere really tight to drive a screw, you can do it. And I run into this all the time. A lot of times a heater or something will be up against a cabinet, and you got to get in somewhere tight, so you find your lowest profile nut runner and put it in there like that. See, now this distance is a lot less than a gun. Your gun's hanging out this way, and you can get in there and drive a screw in around a corner, and this handle will obviously turn wherever you want it and give you some holding power. Don't mistake this for the cheapies you see over at the home improvement stores. If you don't spend at least $125 on this, you're not getting a good one, and you cannot use it with impact. But I've been using this for quite some time, and I have not broken it. All right, so that's a Milwaukee 90-degree drive head. And let's put this back away. I'm done with that demonstration. Spindles, I like nice long ones. You can get these from Apex at your tool supplier if they're an Apex dealer. Same thing with a spindle for a 3/8 drive. There's a 3/8 drive with the ball on it. You can drop a socket on there and get in deep in a panel to tighten a bolt or to drive a nut. That's a 3/8, but they make other sizes. So long spindles, never discount the usefulness of those. Deburring tool, Noga style. Everyone knows what those are. And I deburr my holes, you know, even little tiny ones. Lineman's pliers. Good for cutting heavy wire, good for pulling. So they got a nice serrated edge. If you got to pull a fish tape, you can do some serious pulling. These also have a crimping tool on them. Good for the yellow connectors, ground sleeves, things like that. So and they've got, I don't even know how I can get you in there. They've got kind of a double crimp built into them. I'm trying to get that where it catches the light. All right, so there's a big pair of diagonals. There's a fun one. It's got a good tone too. That's for wire nuts. Drop a wire nut in there, and with a twist of the wrist, you're tightening wire nuts. When you're chewing through 300, 400 wire nuts a day, your fingers are just hamburger. So these are great for doing a lot of wire nuts. This will fit the little orange, the yellows, and the large reds. Drop right in there and key in. So we got a wire nut in here. Yeah, there's a yellow. That's a yellow ideal with the wings. Those are the only kind we buy. And it drops in nice and deep there, and it gets a hold on those. And the red ones sit up a little higher. All right. And it gives you something to annoy your friends with. A wrench doesn't belong in here. Proto Professionals, those are the kind I buy for work. The USA made Protos. They're thin. They're a little bit longer than the average. They've got a nice thin head. They're strong. I've done nothing but lose these things. They don't ever break, but they do get lost. But that doesn't belong in there. Pair of dikes, not even mine. Those are one of my guys. I don't even know what they're doing in there. I've already got my own dikes. A small file. That's always handy to keep in your bag. Just, you know, you cut something, you want to roll the edge off of it or something. Just a little file to keep in your bag. That bin's pretty empty. Oh, here's some of the accessories I was talking about. These are kind of little alligator clips, which are handy, and they plug right into your Fluke accessories. So, you know, if I was ringing something and I had to go to ground, you just hook that to ground, stab one of your leads in there, and then you can probe around with the other one, trying to ring a wire, or, you know, if you just need something grounded or you want to hook up to something permanently, those are quite handy. So those stay in the bag all the time. They fit on all the Flukes. Conduit reamer, 1/2 inch, 3/4, and 1 inch. So those will, after you cut your pipe with a portaband, these will deburr your pipe inside and out on that little floating cutter head right there. And then that fits set screw type fittings without slipping off. Although I do hate this feature. This doesn't work. This always does. All right. Channel locks, both the same flavor. Ends of them are always bashed out from doing knockouts. But when you're building boxes, a pair of channel locks is a wonderful thing. Hey, we're coming up on the home stretch. Oh, here's a little driver that I carry. This is for doing the little DIN rail terminal strips. It's perfect size for dropping in a DIN rail. Fits in the hole perfectly. Does the screw nicely, and it's just thumb and forefinger work. It's not even there's your T&B DIN rail. So that'll fit the Thomas & Betts terminal strips. But that's what I use for making up panels. Number 3 Phillips. That's a Craftsman, but number 3 Phillips, always have one of those around. Let's see down here so I can get this out without cutting myself. Christmas tree bit. Major steps are 1/2 inch, 3/4, and all the way through is 1 inch. So this will do electrical holes in a pinch if you don't have your punch set handy. Always in the bag and always at the ready. If you've got one hole to drill, it's quicker to do it with this than just to walk back to the truck. Tick tracer. When you open up a box for the first time, want to know if it's hot, just go live with it. There's a cord right there. There's a cord right there. So that tells you whether you're hot or not. And it's touchless. All you do is get close and it'll light up. It'll read through insulation. And it'll just tell you if there's anything in that box, it'll kill you. So this is always a good first tool to break out when you open up an unknown box to find out what's going on in there. Okay. Also made by Fluke. This is a Fluke 1AC-A2. And it's 1000 volt rated. As you can tell, I'm a Fluke guy. Allen wrenches, always need them in both metric and standard. There's a standard kit, and right there's a metric kit. So both flavors. You never know what kind of components are going to come in. A lot of the European stuff is metric only on some of the terminals, and then some of the US stuff is, your guess is as good as mine. Small screwdrivers. Always need them for various components. Small Phillips. I think that's a number double aught. Pretty small. Small flats. There's a single aught. Those are Klein. Not sure what that is. It's been cut off on the top. Another nut runner. And more screwdrivers, screwdrivers of various flavors and sizes that I keep in there. down the bottom. These don't come out very often, but when you need them, you need them. Stubby screwdrivers, flat and Phillips. And I have engraved the flat and the Phillips on the top so I can tell what they are just looking down on them. That's one thing about the Kleins. The top of the drivers are always going to have what they are, so when they're down in your bag, you can look straight down and tell what driver you're pulling. So this one's got the markings there. There's your marking there. Every single Klein is going to have an identifier on the top, and that's the whole thing. I found that to be very useful, and I actually do it to my own. These are made by Snap-on, but stubby drivers, when you need them, you need them. Not very often. And this bag is empty. Let's talk about some other miscellaneous things that I carry, just for the heck of it. Just a binder. If I'm working a set of plans, I'll put this binder up on top of an electrical panel and let my paperwork hang off of that so I can sit there and read it. Oh, here's some hemostats. These are always handy. Here's a set that's modified right on the tips just to do wire. So your wire goes in there, click it down, and you can go in and land your wire, have your other hand free to do the screwdriver, and a lot of times you get into panels and stuff and you don't have any room to get in with your fat sausage fingers. Serrated hemostats, and these are smooth hemostats, so if you want to grab onto something and not damage it, so the smoothies are good for that. But the one that's filed gets a hold of a wire really nicely. Maybe you can see that hole I put in there. Alright, so the hemostats are a wonderful thing. And oh, here, I always keep a blob of Pookie on the end of on my bag somewhere. There's a little dot of Pookie, and what you'll do with that is if you've got a Phillips and some of this, actually let me go get a Phillips screw. I'll be right back and I'll show you what to do with little bits of that rubber mastic. Alright, I'm back, and there's a Phillips, and there's a Phillips screw, and let's say you got to get into a panel and go in deep where you can't get your hands and get this thing started, and you're working your way in and that sucker's falling out. You just literally take the smallest amount you can of that mastic, put it on the end of your screwdriver, and then squish your screw into that. And there you have it, and that thing is not coming out, and you can get into your panel, get your screw started, and 9 times out of 10 you get your Pookie back on the end of your screwdriver, put it back in your little ball, and keep it on your bag for future use. And that's what I use that for. That was a Phillips example. Let's use a flat example. What if you had a screw that was just flat? Oh, good God. That thing's going to be falling out constantly. Back to the Pookie again. And then back to your screwdriver. And now you've got the screw and the screwdriver as one, and you can get in there and get that turkey started without worrying about it coming off your driver. So that little bit of mastic is a wonderful thing, and it's another one of those things when you need it, you need it. Either you're going to stand there for hours fighting a screw. You just want to get it in and move on. All right, guys, that's what's in my bag. Oh, Jesus, keep finding stuff. Pair of Jameson splicing scissors. These also have stripping holes for little tiny wires like data and communication stuff. Just drop the wire in and slide it, and those 2 little grooves will strip them back for you. But when you're doing cable splicing and things like that, they're invaluable. Those were courtesy of Ray Cornelia. Thank you, Ray. And then tape. My daily driver is 3M Temflex. That's it for this. Again, that's an Ideal Tough Tote. And thank you for playing What's in Stan's Bag. Back to me. Okay, so that was a long segment. Took a long time to get through that, but that's what I carry in my bag. That's a daily driver. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to this episode of The Grind. And, more to come. We've got some shop projects. I got a bunch of stuff I got to do around here. And I'll bring you guys along for the ride. Some of the proprietary stuff I do for customers, can't bring you along, can't show you, and I'm sorry. But some of the stuff I do for me or customers that don't care, I can show you what we set up and what we do for them. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.